Okay.
Tuna Bites, welcome back. The new season is here finally. Football starts this week, week one. We're finally here after the draft and trades and waiver wire. Finally, it is going to start. And we're excited. We're excited to be back with you guys this season and previewing the matchups this week and all the key injuries and news and notes. And we're here. We're here with you all season long, like we always are. And
Mm-hmm.
we'll see. We'll see if Captain Insano and Nathan, if they, they stay with us the whole season. So Richard,
Yeah,
how you doing?
I'm doing good, man. I'm excited for football. It's been too long. I got to watch the replay of the Gators game last weekend, so I'm ramped up, ready to go.
Yeah, yeah. That's always like you get college football and then you get
Yeah,
really like love college football, but then you get even more excited for NFL and the fantasy season because it's like it's
yeah,
just a week away. So yeah, I
yeah.
mean I'm excited. We since the last time we had our first show of the season. Um, we've had lots of stuff happening in the league, injuries and a trade, and just some
Yeah,
ad drops with our
yeah,
league. So
yeah. You want to get
so
into
let
that?
yeah let's dive right in here.
All right. We have the trade pulled up right now. Do you want to go over that first?
Yeah. So you and Nathan made the what would I call it for our league? I would say this is the rare, you know, post draft right before the season trade. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
so that was when I saw it. I was kind of surprised. Not that you and Nathan traded because I feel like you and Nathan kind of just you're good trade partners.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
for better or for worse, I
every
think you
season.
two are every season. So I wasn't surprised by that. I think I was a little surprised by a trade, but I love it. I love it when that's happening and everyone's trying to improve their roster, even just right after the draft. So for this, Richard, what since you're part of this trade, what was kind of your thought process with the trade?
Well, I'd like to hear your opinion first before I give you mine or give you my reasoning on my side of it.
Okay, well, I was surprised because I of course love Kyler Murray. As their Aaron Rodgers, you know, he probably is going to have another big year. Obviously, there's motivation because he's probably gone at, he's probably leaving Green Bay after this year. So I expect a great season. Kyler Murray offers the rushing, and he could be better. I mean, we saw for really the first half of last year where he was like the number one quarterback, and then he tailed off a little bit. Part of that had to do with an injury. He was kind of dealing with that. But I love Kyler Murray. Um, and then it's interesting. Damian Harris and Gus Edwards, and there's two schools of thought. Now, I love Gus Edwards, especially obviously since J.K. Dobbins, which we'll talk about, getting hurt. Um, just with the Ravens offense, Damian Harris, and I guess it depends where you fall on Damian Harris. I'm one of those ones where I'm just skeptical, not because of the talent, not the opportunity, but I'm skeptical because of Bill Belichick and what he does with running backs, kind of like Sean McVay's been
Mm-hmm.
doing with the Rams backfield. But Damian Harris, I mean, it lines up for him to, at the very least, get all the first and second down rushing attack. They have a great, offensive line. They're probably going to do smash mouth football with a rookie quarterback and a good defense. So, I mean, I love his opportunity, and it would not surprise me if he's a lot better than I think. I'm more just skeptical because of what Bill Belichick's done. And I love Gus Edwards.
Right.
Now, some people will knock Gus Edwards because, he he's not necessarily one who's known for catching a bunch of passes, kind of like Harris. And we'll see what happens with the Ravens, what that looks like with him kind of being maybe more the main guy. So I don't know. In the grand scheme of things, it may not, it may just be kind of an even trade. Certainly, it could tilt one way or another. But it was interesting because like I said, I look at it. I don't know if I see it tilting other than Kyler Murray. I do think Kyler Murray is an X factor as a quarterback just because of his
Mm-hmm.
rushing ability. Um, but again, it just depends on how you feel. Because some people are not as high, with Gus Edwards. They kind of like Damian Harris. Some people are like, oh, Gus Edwards the guy, but I don't like him as much with J.K. Dobbins, compared to J.K.
Yeah.
Dobbins, and just the fact that Gus Edwards doesn't catch a lot of passes either. So it really just kind of depends on where you fall with Harris and Edwards. I mean, both Aaron Rodgers and Kyler Murray are both going to be great. And it wouldn't surprise me if Aaron Rodgers had a better season than Kyler Murray. I mean, it just, part of that just kind of depends on, the rushing totals and touchdowns, obviously. So,
Right. Well, so something to keep in mind is timing on this trade. This was the day it was announced that J.K. Dobbins went on injured reserve and Gus Edwards was going to be the starter. It was that same day. What is not known, or what's not seen in this, is that actually Nathan and I have been talking about this trade beforehand, but Gus Edwards wasn't a part of the trade. It was that fourth piece on my end was kind of the part where we were stuck. And so when the news came out that Gus was going to be the starter and JK was going on injured reserve, that's when I jumped on and I approached Nathan about this trade. The reason I wanted this trade to go through is because there's a couple things. One, after the draft, I mean, I was drafting at 2 a.m. and so that was part. I wasn't thinking 100% sure, but I was walking away from the draft and I was just kind of like not excited about my team. I knew Kyler Murray was good. I mean, I knew all that, but it's like I wasn't excited to have Kyler Murray. I didn't feel like I got a guy that I really wanted. But what I did really want, Damian Harris, and I didn't get him because I didn't plan properly or didn't foresee the correct picks the way they did. When I picked Kyler Murray, it was complete value. I was not intending to get quarterback there. It was purely just because that was the value in the third round when I got him was just too big to pass up. And I would have got, I wouldn't, this, if it was Josh Allen instead of Kyler Murray, I don't know if I would have done this trade. That's kind of that's a small difference, but that was part of it. Now, trading away Gus seems kind of crazy. It looks like it's lopsided where Nathan won this trade. But my thinking is on Gus is that he's going to share the running with his quarterback. And that scares me when I also have Mark Andrews, who I'm expecting to do great things receiving the ball. And I didn't like the idea of having to depend on my second RB and my tight end to fight for touchdowns and fight for that timeshare of being able to. I just didn't like that combination, and so having Kyler Murray and Gus Edwards as a trade away made sense for me just because of that. Aaron Rodgers. I'm super excited about Aaron Rodgers. I want Aaron Rodgers. I'm excited to just watch what he does this year. I think it's going to be super interesting and makes me excited to watch. And so that's why I liked it. Damian Harris, the narrative I had on him, again, timing. When we traded, Cam Newton hadn't been dropped to the waivers, and it wasn't determined who the starter was in New England. And I was banking on the idea that Cam was going to lose the starting job, and Mac Jones was going to take the spot. If Mac Jones was going to take the starting role, the two thoughts I had were he's not a running quarterback, so the runner is going to be the running back's going to get more touches, and two, he's a rookie, and so the rookie. Belichick probably I think historically is not. I don't know how fond he is of rookies, but I feel like it's not very fond, although he's making him the starter. But I feel like the running back is going to be kind of like that outlet, safety net catching the ball. And so I felt Damian Harris was just going to be outstanding for that bet that Mac Jones was going to be the starter. And like 2 days later, that's what happened. And so I was really I'm super excited. I wanted Damian Harris really bad as my second running back. I'm happy to have Aaron Jones and or Aaron Rodgers, excuse me, and I'm happy to make the trade because it makes it. Does it make my team better? I don't know. On paper, it doesn't look like it, but for me, it makes me happy, and I'm happier to play the season out this way than if I were to just let it be. So that's my thought process.
Well, yeah, Tuna Vites, if you're listening, we're trying to work on some of the Wi-Fi connections issues, so hopefully you can understand. Richard, you're kind of a little choppy on me. I can hear you, but
Dang
Tuna
it.
Vites, it's okay. So it comes in and out. So Tuna Vites, if you're listening, hope you staying with us. We've been working on that. But Richard, yeah, I think you're right. Everybody has. This is why I always say we trade. You can look at certainly you can look at trade value charts. You can look at rankings. I do think those are helpful, and you have like consensus rankings. You go to all the different sites, but at the end of the day, everybody might prefer a player over another, and you have your reasons. And I think that's one of the
Yeah.
great things about trading and just about, you know, just kind of, hey, this is your guy, somebody you like. And there's a lot of people that love Damian Harris, some that are not, and it's the same with Gus Edwards. So I think that's a good thing. Both parties are happy about the trade. And so we'll
Yeah.
see. We'll see. I definitely think it was good to get the rookie running back for the Patriots. He had a great preseason, and it kind of secures, with
Yeah.
Harris there because they are going to run the football. And I think, that
Yeah.
that was a wise
I
move.
don't know if you noticed, but I also picked up the Tyson Williams, the second running back for Baltimore.
I did. I did. Yeah. No, I mean, listen, guys, running backs, and we get in injuries now. I mean, running backs, this happens every year. There's a lot of running backs get hurt. Guys step up. It's the one of the most fluid position. It's like the most fluid position we have in fantasy football. Is the running
Yeah.
back. I mean, they get the most. They're the most valuable position, but it's such a you know it's fragile in terms of just the injuries, and so that's why we talk about just picking up running backs, and the waiver wire
Yeah.
usually is busy for the running backs, and so this is what's gonna happen. We're gonna have week one. After week one, there's going to be some guys to pick up, and there might be some more injuries. So that's why it's you got to pay attention, and we expect it. I mean, we had PC literally James Robinson. Yeah. I mean,
Again.
yeah, again, but I mean,
Again.
last year he was this kind of just, oh yeah, he's a guy who's been playing well in camp, and there was a little bit
Hmm.
about him, but it was like it's the Jaguars, and a couple things happened, and then it was like James Robinson, and it was just it was amazing, undrafted rookie, and so you really just with running
Yeah.
back, I mean that truly is one of those positions where you can have a no name guy who just the right circumstance, right team, right time, just takes off. So, but it's also hard. It's hard to find good running backs, especially ones that, like what Robinson's situation last year was not normal. Normally, get these running backs, and then they just, if the star player goes down or something, well, okay, we're just going to do a running back by committee. Robinson's, deal last year, that's not the norm, especially for an undrafted guy. So that was a special year. So that's why it's just hard, running back. You got to stay on top of the running back position. So, um, so Richard, you want to hit us off couple of the injuries? Just kind of go through some of those real quick.
Yeah, we mentioned it again with Travis Etienne getting injured and James Robinson taking that role again.
Yep.
Um, the pundits that I listen to about fantasy football, they're not they're I mean they say James Robinson's going to be the guy, um, but they don't think it's going to be much different than last year. They think it's going to be about the same. Um, he had a ton of workload last year, but his production wasn't that good. So this year with a new regime entirely, new quarterback, um, new head coach, new play scheme. Who knows what that's going to look like? But PC kind of fell into it, and good on him. He's got the highest projected score this week, partly because of that. And so, yeah, what are you going to do?
Yeah, I mean that was tough for Daryl to lose Travis Etienne. We talked about in the last last episode post draft about the first round and how so many guys bust because of injuries or just they'll perform, and so then you got Etienne already gone, J.K. Dobbins gone, um, and injuries are unavoidable. This is one of the things that gets talked about. I hear this all the time. People will say, well, you shouldn't do your draft until right before the season. But the reality is, injuries happen all the time. Things happen. I mean, last year, remember, it was like right before the season started or whatever. Leonard Fournette got cut. That's just the way it goes, and it's unfortunate, but it is part of the game. We're unique because we're a keeper league, and so we're not just a simple redraft league. And so,
Mhm.
anyways, that's part of that is you got to be on the waiver wire. You got to try to build your roster. Um, so it's one of the variables, and it's just like NFL. Teams obviously are planning to have their guys, but then stuff happens, and then they got to find somebody else. And um, so yeah, there's some tough injuries with running backs, just getting hit,
Yeah.
and so. What did
Yeah, I
you, Richard? What
feel.
did you?
Go ahead.
I would say, what did you make of the Rams trading for Sony Michel?
Well, so I think that's interesting. I think they added him. For the reports I heard is that they wanted an experienced winner. I think is or something along those lines is the way they said it. So they wanted somebody in the backfield that has been there before when it comes to the running back and getting to the playoffs and so on. And so I guess that's why they went after Sony Michel. Um, I don't know. Last year they had Daryl. If they repeat last year, Sony has some play, and it's so it seems anyway. So it's possible that he might have some work this year. But I don't know. It seems like I don't know. The Rams are really confusing. I don't know what to do with them. I look at Sony Michel and I'm like, maybe while we're talking, I go pick him up. But at the same time, I'm just kind of like, I don't know. I don't know. So I don't know what to
Yeah,
make of him.
yeah. Well, I think it's probably just gonna. I think it's gonna be a lot like last year. I mean, obviously they don't have maybe three guys, but they. I think McVay and Belichick they tend to be similar with their guys. Now I think Henderson will be kind of the main guy, but obviously they needed depth, and they're clearly by their moves they're going for the Super Bowl. I mean they're all in. I mean they got obviously Stafford, and
Yeah.
they're going for it. So they needed some depth, and they got Michelle. I mean we'll see how it unfolds. Um, I would still expect Henderson to kind of be the 1A, and then Sonny Michelle be the 1B. Um, with that backfield. But who knows? I mean, McVay's relied on when he had Gurley, he just relied heavily on him, and that's the other thing. Everyone has to watch. With the usages of the running backs. Some years running backs get way more percentage usages of their team's offense, and then the next year they don't get as much. I mean, and one thing we haven't got into, we'll get into this season. Having that extra regular season game means that some teams are going to try to keep that running back, a little more fresh, not as much wear and tear, because you have that one extra game means a lot,
Right. Right.
especially for the running backs. So that's just something to think about as we go into week one. So, um,
So something I wanted
so
to bring up about I wanted to go back to J.K. Dobbins. So when that
yeah,
happened, I looked up who had J.K. Dobbins, and man alive, did Josh just not his team? I feel so bad for because it's so unfortunate. He's just got hurt player after hurt player after hurt player on his team right now, and it's like it hurts. you know.
yeah. I mean, Josh might end up being, the Houston Texans of our league, but not because he's trying to do it on purpose like they are, but he's just maybe because of injury.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, it's going to be hard to overcome. He's got an uphill battle, for
Yeah.
sure. But again, I mean, if he can make the right running back pickups and get hit on somebody, then
Yeah.
he's got other players. I mean, Thomas is supposed to come back some point this year, so Who knows? We've been surprised before, but yeah, it's going to be really hard. So,
Well,
um,
Le'Veon Bell got picked up by the Ravens, which was very exciting. And then you heard that they got then you hear that he went on the practice squad, and I'm like, Josh, what are you doing? Practice squad?
yeah, I don't know. I mean, they needed depth. I mean, they lost Justice Hill, so then it was like I lost another
Yeah,
guy. So I I think Bell's pretty much done. But listen, I mean, if he somehow gets his way up there, with Lamar Jackson in that offense, I mean, he still could produce. Any running back could produce in that offense if they're given the opportunity. So, but yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens. With that. Uh, so. Well, one thing, Tuna Vites, we're gonna hit our week 1 matchups and this week, and as we get in the season, we'll of course talk about the free agent bidding, with the waivers and just obviously more trades and maybe some of our words of wisdom that we give. Richard does the good, the bad, and the ugly, and for each week, and usually I'll finish off with just some thoughts, some things to take away each week. Um, but one thing we will be talking about this season, and something for you just to listen, and we'll be talking about this more. We've had some conversation about potential changes to the league for next year. So there's been some chatter, and Richard and I have talked about a lot of different things. Last year we did, and we're not going to obviously vote on every single thing, but there are some things we're talking about, and I think one of the suggestions that Nathan made recently was like, well, why don't we, while everyone's paying attention in the season, why don't we try to, if we want to actually vote on something or see a change potentially for next year, why don't we vote on in the season, like in the middle of the season, which makes a lot of sense.
yeah.
So that'll be something we'll probably, Richard, you and I we'll probably talk about some things, and with that, some of the ideas that are being thrown out, and
No kickers.
have some no kickers. Yeah. Richard is on a mission to abolish the kickers. Richard would be so much happier if there was no kickers.
Yeah.
I will
How
say,
about this?
Richard, you're not
How
alone
about
in
this?
that.
No kickers. One more flex. Huh? Huh?
Okay.
Think
Okay.
about it. Think about it.
You listen. You might get some traction. I actually have heard a lot of leagues where people they've abolished the kicker and they just added an extra position, flex or receiver or
Yeah.
whatever, and you might get your wish. We might finally abolish the kickers. I mean, we
We'll
got
see.
rid of the
We'll see.
punters after 1 year, but that's because we weren't able to use them. But that's another story for
Yeah.
another day. So, um, anyways, just Tunavite, something to be listening in. That'll be something we'll be sprinkling in the coming weeks and talking about
Yeah.
those things. Because we want to be intentional with that. Obviously, we're here to have some fun with the league, and it is democracy. Contrary to the rumors out there. We do like to vote on important matters, and
Yeah.
even if it's the secret society of commissioners, we do take a vote.
Yeah.
uh, all right, Richard. Well, let's dive into week 1 here.
Week 1. Well, we just talked about Josh a little bit and how his team is just not looking great to start out. Hopefully, he can find a way to kind of improve his team for the week. But yeah, I mean, he's only 12 points behind as far when it compared to Daryl. So there's a chance somehow, even with a running back with 0 points. But man, this one just kind of looks like it's just going to be not an easy win, but I don't. I'm going to say it. It's going to be a free win for Daryl unless Josh can make some changes and some magic happen within the next few days. That's kind of my perspective on this.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you. I picked Daryl in this partially because Josh has got to get another starting running back. But yeah, I like Daryl to win this week, get off to a good start, and he's gotten a lot of flack from Nathan this year, and so I do like his lineup for this week, and so yeah, I'm gonna pick him as well.
Right. I don't want to pick on Josh too much, so let's just move on. All right. So this is Aaron and Bruce. This is tight. I think. I mean, this is going to be really interesting for the outcome. I'm excited. There's a few matchups this week that just look super interesting with the whole new season coming and all that good stuff. We've got the Chiefs going against Aaron, and I think what happens with Cleveland is going to be what happens with the matchup. So if Cleveland does really well, I think Aaron's going to have a tough uphill battle to take the win. But if anything like middle or bad for the Chiefs, then it's going to be tough sledding for Bruce. So that's just the way that the makeup of Bruce's team this week. And I mean, Aaron's team is strong, which I love. I mean, Russell Wilson is nice. Aaron Jones is nice. Mike Davis is nice. Diggs and Mari Cooper, I'm jealous. Pitts, I think, is the wild card. No one knows what Pitts is going to do. I mean, all Gator fans know what he's capable of, but what he's projected to be has never happened before for a rookie tight end. So it's going to be super interesting if he breaks the mold in that way. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, this very well could be the game of the week. It's just a tight league. I mean, we already talked about this division being such a tough division, and here's the thing. I'm gonna say this. I picked Bruce to win the division, and I love his team, but I think I'm going with Aaron this week, just because I think I like his matchups better. Now, of course, as we all know, if with Bruce and his Kansas City Chiefs stack, if they go off, that a lot of weeks is just going to win. I mean, that'll win it for Bruce regardless. I mean, we've seen that with Mahomes and Hill. Now he's got, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. So if they have a big game, they could easily, he could be over 100 points with just those three guys and, take it. But I like Aaron this week. I think one of the things that are note for Bruce, Chris Godwin popped up on the injury report with a quad. So it's usually not a good thing right before a game. Hopefully it's not, it's just a minor thing and he'll be playing for Thursday night. I hope so, but that's just something of note. And then I think probably the key for Bruce.
It's okay. He's got Calvin Ridley and Chris Carson just in case.
Yeah. No, he's not hurting. That's why I picked him in the division. He's got a deep roster, but just something to note because I do love. I mean, I love all the receivers for the Bucs for Thursday night against the Cowboys. But somebody who probably is going to be key for this game for Bruce, I think, is Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Been a lot of talk about him, and is he going to be better than last year? And he had a little bit of a ankle sprain in preseason, so I think he'll be one of the key players for the game. I think for Aaron, you mentioned Pitts as one of the intriguing players we don't know, but I'll go for Aaron. I think one of the key players for Aaron is Mike Davis. It just, a lot of talk, he's an older running back, but he's got the opportunity. And I'll be interested to see how he does because some people, he's, again, one of those running backs that some people are on him. They love him. Some are like, no, not so much. So I think he'll be one of the key players for Aaron this week.
Yeah, I'm one of the not so much because I just don't know. That offense was made to make him look good last year, and he's on a different offense. It's just too questionable. But you're 100% right. Like Mike Davis, is he going to do well or not? Is a question everybody wants to know. Gaskin's kind of the same way. If there's going to be a wild card on Bruce's team, it's Gaskin, I think.
Yeah, he's got interesting. Those are two running backs that I think could easily be. I mean, they could be great, and their opportunities in offense. But yeah, you're right. Those are two guys that certainly there's some questions around. How good will they be this year? So, like I said, I like Bruce's team, but this week I like Aaron. I like Aaron getting the win this week.
All right, well, let's go on to Donald and PC. PC, I mentioned it before. He's got the highest projected total for the week. For the whole league, he's going against Donald. Donald's score is top 6, I think. I'm pretty sure. I think it's 6th highest, but he's going against PC. I mean, it's obvious that of why. The Tom Brady versus Ryan Fitzpatrick. What I love about PC picking up Ryan Fitzpatrick is that Fitzpatrick, I feel like is just he's going to be doing great in Washington. I feel like he's just going to let it rip, and I think he's going to surprise. And I think he is going to win this game a lot for that. I think this week for PC, you're going to see higher than 17 for sure. Brady's going against Dallas. I think he's ready to go. 25 seems like a reasonable score for him. So, yeah, this is interesting one too. The score shows a little bit of a lopside with 22-point difference. Running back is obviously the main reason on Donald's side. So PC is probably going to win, but even without the running backs being stellar, Donald's getting a good projection, and that's because of his wide receivers and his tight end. So I don't know what else to say, but take it away.
Yeah, no, I'm not going to go against PC. I think he's going for
we learned a lesson.
Win 17 in a row or whatever he went because he went undefeated 16-0 last year. So
16 and then playoffs, right? So 17, 18. So he's on 19 in a row.
Well, 14 games regular season, and then we had the 2 playoff games. Yeah, so 16, and then
right.
So he's 17, and anyways, yeah. So he's, just crazy. So I like him. I think Donald's weakness is team. It really is just the running back. The key for him is going to be, Carter and Gordon are looking like in a timeshare. So those are some question marks for him. Obviously, if they do better than what they're expected to, then that would be a huge boost for Donald. But
yeah,
there's not much else I can say. I like PC's team. I think he, draft wise, considering the odds and being, where he's drafting this year, he's looking great. So I like PC to continue his winning ways.
Yeah. All right. Nathan and Dwayne, the dynamic duo going against each other this week. Nathan coming out on top with the projections. Reid, you want to kind of throw in your thoughts?
Yeah, these are who I think these two teams are going to be the two main contenders for their division, and I think it's going to be the weakest division. Kind of like it was last year, although our division struggled a little bit too. But I think it'll be probably these two teams that are going to be battling it out to win that division this year. I obviously picked Nathan to win that division, but this week's matchup, I'm favoring Nathan. This team lines up really well, and probably the key for Dwayne. I think for Dwayne to win, and Nathan already hit on this, but DeAndre Swift, man, there's been so much talk about him. How good is he going to be?
Mm-hmm.
A little bit of an injury, getting nicked up. He was great for PC last year, but he did deal with some injuries as well. So there's just been a lot of talk, and I think he is a key player. Dwayne's got some great receivers. Obviously, having Nick Chubb is good, but I think that's going to be key for Dwayne. For Nathan, I think probably the key player for Nathan is probably probably Robert Woods. I'm going to give Robert Woods. I think he's a good player. But he could be even better. A lot of people are talking about him and, Stafford being there, that he could actually, be a better receiver. He's not a guy who gets a lot of touchdowns, but he does get a lot of catches typically.
Yeah.
So I think he'll be a key player for Nathan this week. But I like Nathan to pull this one out.
Yeah, I just want to point out with Nathan, he does have Tyler Boyd in his flex spot, wide receiver with a new rookie quarterback. So we'll see how that turns out for him. Cortland Sutton coming off of an injury with his new quarterback, not rookie, but new. Did great thing. Bridgewater did great. He was pretty average as far as Carolina last year, but the receivers were able to do good things and be startable and that kind of thing. So I think Cortland Sutton is a viable option this week for that reason. See if getting over the injuries, he's able to do that and trust his legs and not have a mental block when it comes to running full speed and that kind of thing. And then Tunyon, I'm really interested because I have Aaron Rodgers. Obviously, I'm interested to see what Tunyon does. Um, it sounds like he's doing really good. Last year, he was a touchdown machine. It seemed like. So it's going to be this could win over. These two can win over Dwayne's team. I think for sure. This is where there's a lot of ceiling and a lot of opportunity for points to be had. Um, to overtake the challenge of going against Nathan this week.
Yeah, no, I think that's some good take there. Dwayne always is a team that surprises me, in terms of just he'll have players that just do better than I think. And
Yeah,
Sutton's one of those
every
that
year.
yeah, no, he does. And he always has guys. That's why I mentioned Swift, but even, Sutton's another one, coming off his injury and he's got the talent. So you never know. Week one's always so hard because, you're looking at projections and obviously what the rankings are, but after week one, we always get surprised after week one with players and teams and how they perform. So, but we'll see.
All right. Do you want
All
to
right.
let's go to yours. We'll save mine for last, just because I'm kind of not looking forward to it. um,
Okay.
so
All right.
let's look at yours. Yours is really close because we talked, last time. Nathan's talked about how John Mack's team looks really good for the season. The projections are showing that he's going to lose by 7 points, but I think you guys are neck and neck. I think it's going to be really interesting overall what you guys are going to do. I think the rookie with Najee Harris, his history says that he's going to get a lot of work. We'll see what that happens his first week, actually getting the job done. Going against Buffalo, it could be a little bit difficult, but we'll see. For John Mack, Saquon coming off the injury, is he going to be 100%? Is he going to be full running, full doing everything? We'll see if he is. If he's able to do a lot, that could overcome a lot of gap between you and he. Wide receivers, I feel, are solid. AJ Brown came up with an injury, right? Reid, is that right? Like recently?
Yeah, well, he had the off season. He had procedures on both his knees. That was kind of the issue he had
Yeah.
last year. So he popped up with the knee deal, but from what I've read, it looks like he's just fine. They're just kind of doing more maintenance, but obviously we'll see once the games start.
Well, and the question around him is who's the alpha, him or Jones, right? Julio Jones. Who's going to be the alpha between the two, or are they both going to be alphas? Who knows? We'll see.
Yeah.
It's a question that we get to learn about. Week one's going to show a lot, hopefully, and you'll be able to know better what going forward, what's going to happen between those two. So that's going to be, I think that for your team, that's the most interesting piece, in my opinion. Out of all of them is AJ Brown and how the relationship with him and Julio Jones when it comes to targets and yards and touchdowns between the two of them, how that split looks. So, if you want to give me if you want me to pick, I don't really want to because it's so close. I'm gonna give the edge to you. Just because I don't know, your team is a little bit more solid, a little bit less question marks, and I think it's kind of chalk, I guess, technically, to go for you, but I think yours is a little bit less question marks, more well known, so I'm gonna go with that. Go with you on that.
Okay, well, John Mack. It would not surprise me if John Mack wins. I hate that I had to help draft John Mack's team because I look at his team and I'm like, man, I really like his team. So,
you're playing yourself this week.
Yeah. No, well, Hurts has got a great matchup. Playing the Falcons, they've not been good defensively, and Gibson Antonio Gibson has all the opportunity in the world to be great, and you mentioned Barkley. That's going to be a key for John Mack. How much is he 100%? How much are they going to use him week one? And but I mean receivers all the way down. Yeah, I like his team a lot. So would not surprise me if John Mack were to win this week, and should be a tightly contested game. So it should be fun. Should be fun, and so John Mack has not, said one way or another whether he liked he liked his team after the draft. So we'll see after week one. Maybe he doesn't like it. Maybe he does. I have no idea. So, but anyways, so yeah, we'll see. We'll see week after week one here.
All right. All right. Let's go to this one. I'll let you take it away.
Let's take it away. Well, this is Richard. I think that you're going to do better than you think. Probably you've got some really good matchups. I think the key for you is probably going to be Kenny Galladay, just because he had the injury in the preseason. He seems like he's good now, but he's a guy that played really great last year, but he switched teams, and that can go both ways. You've seen, like we saw last year with Stephon Diggs, who just took off and was amazing, and then we've seen other receivers go to teams and they don't takes a while to get going. So I think he'll be a key player for you in this matchup. For Jonathan, I think it's going to be tough sledding for Zeke. They're already out an offensive lineman due to COVID, and the Bucs front seven is just, they're great. They've been good at stopping the run. So I think it could be tough for Zeke. So that's going to be one thing that Jonathan might have to, I guess, overcome or just score more points anywhere else. But it's still Zeke, and maybe he'll surprise us and do better. For you, I like a lot of your matchups, with Andrews and Hopkins and Ayuk, and here we talked about Harris. Derrick Henry's Derrick Henry. So Christian McCaffrey, he's projected to get a lot of points, like he was 2 years ago, and the beginning of last year. But we didn't really see him that much last year because of the injuries. So I'm intrigued just to see that. Not that he's not going to be CMC like we all know, but anytime a running back has a lot of injuries one year, coming off a record-setting season like he did, I'm always intrigued just to see, hey, how are they? Are they still the same, or is it maybe not quite as good? But that's just something I'm intrigued to watch. I'm sure he'll be awesome. And for Jonathan, probably a key matchup, I think, for him is probably going to be Marvin Jones. They have a great matchup playing Houston, but we'll see. Trevor Lawrence, is he going to favor? He favored Jones in the preseason, but he also, Chenault was a guy that he liked. Now DJ Chark's back in the mix, so I think that could be a key player for Jonathan this week. This is tough. Like I said, week one, Richard, is always hard to pick because, and you guys are close. Right. And so I don't know. I think I'm going to go with Jonathan this week. I think I'm going to go with him. But again, I think it's a lot closer than you think, because you have some really great matchups, and Jonathan has some tough matchups as well, and some guys that like Marquez Callaway. We'll see if he can keep it up from that preseason performance he had. So, but there you go, Richard. And just keep in mind, Richard, that I don't know if you remember, but last year I was really bad at picking the games in general. So that could be in your favor.
Yeah, I'm gonna blame COVID for that.
I was terrible last year at picking games, anybody's game.
Well, the one lesson we learned last year is you don't pick against PC, right? So we didn't do that. We're good to go. So you'll get one.
I did not do that. I learned the hard way, but all right, Richard. Well, Tuna Bites, we're going to try to work on some of the Wi-Fi issues, and so hopefully you're able to kind of go through the cast. Hey, we did do like in 45 minutes here, so we got a little shorter of an episode, and for you. So hey, good luck this week, Richard, and all Tuna Bites out there, week one.
You too.
And excited to get back in next week and talk about all the week one and everything and free agent bidding. So
looking forward to it.
All right, Tuna Bites. We'll see you next week.
See ya.